Hello, everyone. Episode 27. Hope you're doing really well. Uh, just letting go of lots of stuff these days and transitioning into just a much more excited perspective than ever before. Much lighter. Uh, kind of my world's coming together, like it's been a lot of years and a lot of chaos, self induced, but my world's coming together. And it's giving me a lot of opportunity and a lot of clarity. I hope that's happening for you on some level. Um, yeah, I keep getting called to go deeper, in both my career and in my lucidity practices and in my shamanic training. So, Carlos Castaneda often talked about um, that the world is all you need to teach you. You can just go out your front door and you'll learn the lesson, or go get a job, or whatever it is, and you will discover the holes in your consciousness by the challenges that come up for you. Um, so it sucks to have to grow up and face yourself, but a lot of us are still in that place where we haven't taken on our job as an opportunity to evolve. That's a huge breakthrough. And I'm not saying you have to go work a 9 to 5. It's not even about anything. It's not about money. It's about intent. You just don't want to strip yourself of the process and the experiences of developing and honing, um, the capacity to be consistent and present yourself in a way that is going to provide you passage through a career path. It's just you don't want to get caught in the trenches where people that don't know about the other side of things, they pick a job, they fall into it for life, and they never really look. They can't see the forest through the trees. That's all they know. They settle in, for life, and that's who they are, right? Um, doesn't matter if you jump careers and switch around. It's just that you fall into the trench every time. You're a permanent member of this 3D mentality, and you think the same thoughts as everybody for the most part. You let the media put you in a spell. Like it's the trenches. Um, so the trick is to not ever fall into the trenches. And if you are in the trenches, you want to extract yourself. It doesn't mean you can't pull off the job, and it doesn't mean you can't fit in. It's just that you start to realize the unconsciousness of that trance, and that there's another much more effective way uh, to go about your day. And honestly, it, people that microdose figure this out, right? Because you show up, you're barely on a little bit of mushrooms at work, but it makes everything so much more enjoyable. And then you see the unconsciousness around you. You see the repetitive nature. You see the habitual behavior. You see and sense all that is lacking evolution, right? Even the fact that we all show up to work a 9 to 5 job, right, and sit in cubicles. And like, I mean, I don't, but there's just a lot of unconsciousness. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go do that. Like, I put on headphones and listen to like the sickest music in the world, and I can go do whatever the fuck you want me to do, right? I'm always gonna make my situation incredible because I assume that that's my last day on that this building's gonna blow up any second, that my time is up. So I'm constantly able to feel that way. So I don't even need the headphones and the music anymore in order to be liberated in the office environment. I can just, through the fact my chakra line is healthy and I can breathe in a way that most people don't know about, that I can feel certain things without having, like, once you're psychedelic, he doesn't, I took LSD in 7th grade in school and went to Spanish class. because I knew that if I could unlock and see the unconsciousness at an early age, that I wouldn't get caught in it for life. And I mean, I was looking around, everyone's raising their hand and they're taking everything seriously and they're trying to. I'm like, whoa, oh my God, this is. It's, like I never took anything seriously again. Once you see the, the subconscious program that's running through all of us, you can't unsee it. So I had an amazing junior high and high school life. Like I didn't really go to school, but when I did, it was incredible. I'd always keep like an ounce of weed in my pocket, and I could just eyeball and eat the weed to sell it to people all the time. I smelled like just I had super strong cannabis in back in the day, and somehow my magnetism kept me from ever getting in trouble. I literally would have cops search me like a minute after I would drop my drugs in the woods. Like I get searched coming out of the campus, and then all of a sudden there's nothing on me. And I go back, and I had left all my stuff in the forest where I was. Like I've always been guided like that, and so I've never gotten in trouble because of that. That was the way things went for me all the time, and I got used to it. However, you liberate yourself, and I'm not saying kids should do this. Um, uh, I was guided to do this because I knew that my future self knew what I was going to be doing, and so I had to kind of get things going right away, which led me to train in shamanism at a very young age, which healed me. Then I got off all drugs, right? So it's it's not about it. It may seem like these are really dangerous things, but at the same time, it would have been more dangerous for me to try to conform, right? It would have broke my spirit. I wasn't here to do that this time. And so here I am, very liberated compared to most people I know, and able to not only do psychedelic shamanic work, but also I could be the president of a massive company, a construction system, or I have the leadership capacity. I could have easily got pretended and climbed the ladder of a super high IQ. And IQ is not a measurement of intelligence. It's a terrible way to measure intelligence because it's not the kind of intelligence that I seek. So I'm not saying, oh, I have a high IQ, that means anything. It really doesn't mean a lot. It means that I can do linear tasks effectively. It means I can compute information quickly and effectively. It doesn't mean that I'm street smart, that I have common sense, that I'm mechanically inclined, that I would know how to fix something. Like that's why I got into the construction world, because I was so embarrassed at the fact that I didn't have that basic common sense that comes with people that grow up learning how things work, right? And so that's actually what's going to be the most valuable thing in the future. And there's people that sell stocks for a living that don't never have made a meal for themselves, let alone would know how to even hang a fucking mirror, or you know conceive of what goes on behind a wall, or how systems are put together. Um, and that's okay too. I'm not, it's all good, especially if that Wall Street person can do lucid dreaming, then they would never need to. It's okay that we hire people for things we don't know how to do. I'm not saying, but a man and in this world ends up feeling inadequate if they don't know how to fight, if they haven't learned a martial art, if they don't know how to like assemble things and kind of understand how basic systems of construction and mechanics work. You just feel like, geez, you feel like dependent, right? And you are. And I am. I wouldn't know how to fix refrigeration systems. That requires a specific knowledge I don't carry. There's dangerous things that I wouldn't dare do within the realm of electricity. Like, people have special skills for a reason. What we want to do is be like, I was always intimidated by people that were mechanically inclined. I didn't want to ask the question because I didn't even know how to ask the question to begin with, because I was that intimidated. But once you get over that and you start willing to to face people and ask questions, you'll learn a lot. And you might be embarrassed, like, sorry dude, I'm an idiot, like, tell me again. Like, it's okay if you're humble. You'll learn so much in this world. um and so that's another thing, letting go of the character assignment you've been given, or that you've given yourself, or the limitations. Be willing to learn from others. Be willing to study the things that interest you, and be capable of being able to study things that don't interest you. That's why shamans go back to school, to make sure that they have the capacity to focus, period. And the only way to find that out is if you can really dig in and research and learn things that are of no interest to you, and then successfully extract the information that you needed. And that requires indifference and detachment. So if the music in your ear on the headphones is amazing, then who cares? Or if you're so high on life that you're hearing Beethoven through silence, that some people are just tapped in and can just hear. So like, be shamanic, be psychedelic while going to college, while starting a business, while working for whoever. Do whatever you got to do to go out there and face the thing that will make you a more whole individual. But listen, uh, if you're at home raising kids, that's the most beautiful thing. If you're at home, you know, um, healing from stress, like, people need to know that if you're living in a stressed out scenario, that it's unsustainable. So you need to be creative enough to get yourself okay, so that you can do what I'm talking about. And and that does take effort. I had to work hard to get okay. I had to really, really want it. And it isn't wake up at 5 a.m. and take a cold shower and face the world. That's discipline. Impeccability is what I'm suggesting that everybody discover. And that is that you fall in love with life so much that you're willing to change in order to get to the things that you are after. Not because you're just trying to force and resist, you know, yourself so that you might look better. That's what people get tripped out on. They're like wanting to do it so that their appearance will change, or so that it will lead to a partner or something, or their partner won't leave them, or it's all based on desperation and confusion. It's not balanced. It's not going to ever teach you anything. You have to come out of that. And then the recapitulation, these movements that I do, that kind of stuff will heal you. You don't have to go hit the gym and face, a world that is scary to you. You can be in the privacy of your own living room. You can heal yourself, truly, without anyone's help. Now, that's not likely something you're going to start doing right away, but if you do, you'll notice the effects quickly. The magical passes, you can read about Carlos Castaneda's magical passes. You could also just do Tai Chi or Qigong, or get into these arts that help you to see energy, learn to see energy, fall in love with energy. That'll make it so that you want the work life balance and that you manifest that. It's good to have a job, because it otherwise you can go crazy, right? Trying to figure out how to change and heal and evolve without any of the lessons that come from facing the matrix. So it just depends on where you're at. And so healing, go home, heal from your stress, find a way to heal before you go back into the matrix if you can, and then face the matrix so that you are no longer under its spell, but you're liberated, all the time, because you love the music so much, because you're willing to work hard for your kids, because you're there to make the income for, it's all just perspective. But if you hate your job and you're super stressed and you're in a terrible relationship and everything's getting worse and worse, it's critical that you come out of the illusion that things are going to change without you evaluating the whole situation. You got to be willing to feel it, assess it, either make peace with it or make change. And if you can't find harmony and laugh at yourself and it's all heavy and devastating and depressing, I hope that you know that you can revolutionize your life. And sometimes it just takes like one really good day. And so sometimes it's just one really good talk with somebody. And then that leads to another talk. And so often people go to try to get help from people that actually don't know how to help you, but they were trained, they were given a PhD. They were given a PhD, and people talk about how amazing they are. And turns out that, you go work with these people and they're really, really dense. So stop comparing yourself to others. Quit trying to keep up with the Joneses. Heal your nervous system. Work-life balance. Let go of the things that are keeping you from being on a path of heart. The abstract wants you to invite it in, the magical side of things. Just science is now proving that you guys are all into science. People are into science. Science is now proving that trees are in full communication with each other. That they receive the music we play to them. That we're in a divine, sacred connection with all things at all times, and that everything is equal. Everything is power. It's there's a resonance, there's a connection, there's a meaning to all things. And so there's nothing to be at odds with. Even the people that are playing out really, really challenging contracts that are making this shift possible for us. So let go of what you think you know. Be willing to look at it as a witness, a curious child seeking knowledge. We are in a spiritual war. Your soul, your spirit. Your soul's indestructible. It's your spirit that gets taken here, That's why the natives, when they were ready, where they're at war, they just walk right toward. There's when you're really, really at peace with everything, then your last moment is your greatest moment. And so, of course, you're going to walk towards your death with every bit of your power. That's why, there's real energetic aspects to this world, okay? A fight in the street isn't the same for someone like myself. Like, there's an energy that shows up. And once you understand that, it's the same as if we were in the 1800s fighting, cowboys and Indians. It's the same. It's eye contact. It's like it's no different. Whether there's spears or knives or guns or fists, it's a really powerful rite of passage. So I'm not suggesting people learn about this side of things, but the martial art part will teach you how to perceive things differently. And martial arts truly leads to harmony if you're, I guess it just depends on what school, but there are schools that the point of learning to fight is so that is to not fight. Truly, that's the point of learning to fight. And that magnetism is really powerful. People that really know how to handle situations are able to help resolve situations because they're representations of harmony. They've gone through, they've fought their ego, they came out the other side and have harmony because of it. Because they got humbled by getting beat up on the mat. They got humbled by realizing that they're never going to be better than the better guy. There is no competition to have. The enemy is within. The enemy is the hypnosis that we're under that limits us, that makes us think that we have all the time in the world, that makes us turn on the TV instead of open the window or go into lucidity, right? So like I can watch TV, I don't care. I'm watch it all day. It doesn't drain me. But that's because I can open the lucid window of my dreaming capacity at any time as well. And so when I turn off the TV, it didn't drain me. I just then go into my recapitulation. I do magical passes. I mean, I don't even need to do any of that anymore. But for years, I was able to to balance those two things. Uh, Lots going on for a lot of people that are really in tune with the energetic shifts that are occurring. Um, I hope you guys are, you know, finding new resources, new ways of looking at things, and getting lighter in your assessment of things, right? It's easy to get caught up on being on one side or the other of things, and we wanna be the bridge of common sense. And there's absolute lunatics that are upholding the media narrative and they're unwilling to listen to common sense, and that's going to be really difficult to help have a bridge that is available to meet with them. Um, but that's really cool to observe and not something to be at odds with. That's actually where I'm learning the most. That's the most fascinating part. It's a trip, right? We're we're living in multiple timelines right now already. It's shifting that fast. So when you're willing to let go of certain foods and certain moods and certain habits, certain ideas, then you'll make room for really beautiful, fresh feelings to pour in and old feelings that you missed to come in as well. And then you can harness those feelings and sort of bottle them up, and they become the juice that you live off. That sounds strange, but I promise that the past is still occurring and that you can go back and resolve things because they're still active, they're still up. That pain is still there. That love is still there. You may think it's not. It might be all the way back in fifth grade and you have a heart wound around somebody that you wanted to be with. We're just that way. We carry this stuff our whole lives because we don't know how to process. Um, so ego death is what I do, right? I go to the mountains, I go to the woods, I dug a grave, I've done all kinds of intense things, um, and and I'm not saying that that's necessary, but it definitely gets the job done. Um, Unless you're out there faking it or something. I mean, why would you do that, right? Like if you're really at that point where you're willing to go alone into the wilderness to do this thing, you're there to do it. Um, there are people that can put you in the earth. There are people that put you in sweat lodge, put you on the hill, put you on the mountain, vision quest. There's a lot of really unique and rare teachers that exist still that are available to learn from. And and there, there's just there's no limitations. But we can't expect to be able to expedite the process. So the sooner you decide you want in on a deeper journey, you know, and I mean, time's a ticking. We don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen. We have to assume that anything could happen, and so we don't want to miss the calling, right? And maybe just the fact that you take the calling is the reason things don't go out of balance, because maybe you are the the one that that pushes it over the line. That little bit of extra oomph pushes the whole wheel of time in the direction it needs to go for us all to heal. So I ask that of you, that you extend yourself a little bit further than you have before, but not if, and that doesn't mean extend your physicality. It means extend your heart. Open your heart and let this experience that's happening to all of us affect you so much that you're willing to change yourself as a act of love by letting go of the things that hold you back, knowing that that will liberate your perspective, knowing that that will set you free and give you more freedom before the end of your days. Why not? Is that Netflix special that much more interesting than you're extracting yourself from domestication? Just just turn it off. Just feel the difference. Sit with yourself more and more, and it's okay to turn it back on after I know it's intense. The point is, though, is to start to integrate and welcome the idea of sitting with yourself in silence for long periods of time, taking long walks. I've walked out of town before with nothing, just walked. And I've, in my hitchhiking days, I used to get caught in small towns and I've had to walk a long, long time. And then on the LSD days, used to get stuck. We'd lose our ride. We'd be out in deep Woodinville or something, having to get all the way back to Capitol Hill or something. And we'd just walk. And you think it's not possible. I mean, these distances or whatever that you do, that you pull off. I mean, why not? You got nothing else to do. You get wet. You get cold. You go through all these experiences, but eventually you arrive at your destination. I mean, obviously it can be really brutal if you get caught out and you're not prepared and you don't have any money, because there's situations usually that you'll so I'm not suggesting that people go put themselves in a reckless situation, but I did. And the magnetism that I lived by made it very possible and very powerful. Like, I'd literally be hitchhiking and someone would pull over to pick me up and they'd be like, I don't know what happened, my car pulled over for me. I do not pick up hitchhikers. Like, they were mad. And I'm like, well, I don't. They're like, but you seem like, yeah, please, like. And then they give me a ride, and then our talk changes, their life or something. It's just, the world is magnetic. Once you understand that, you can go do whatever you want. And if you're not afraid of getting arrested or getting spit on or hit or attacked, then really, the lack of fear is what makes it so incredible. The doors are going to fly wide open. The experiences are going to be incredible. But at the same time, being able to not have to do that, to be silent and alone, walk amongst all the people, and don't let any of them distract you. That's the most psychedelic part. My friend used to say that everyone needs to stand on the corner of, downtown New York City after eating a hit of LSD and just look, just watch, just stop and see it. And it's true. If once you understand that energy and you walk amongst it and you're not offended, or you're not in love with the most beautiful European brunettes that walk, that New York's incredible, right? It's just power. If you can walk through all those people and not be distracted by any single person and just feel this line pull you, people will part. You will have this feeling is there, and everyone will move out of your way because you're not there. You're not caught in reaction and facing and taking on all these faces. It's just a sea of energy, and it's literally a platform. The same thing can happen in the wilderness alone with the trees and And it's some people that would be a lot easier for them to see energy in the forest. For me, it's not. It's easier for me. The first time I saw energy was in the martial art dojo. When you're moving at high speeds and attacking and learning to go through all this stuff and become sensitive, you see energy. Especially, I mean, if you're a psychedelic person, it's in the form of energy that you become, engaged. And so people do it for me. People are. That's why I'm still in the cities and stuff. I don't care. I mean, I'd love to live alone, and I've private ranches. I've lived in the mountains, or a home with a mountain in the background just to ourselves. Like, we've had the most beautiful homes, um, ranches, like really dope setups. So I like it all. I'm okay with being totally a hermit as well. Um, and I kind of already am. I spend such concentrated amount of time alone that when I come out of it, it feels like it's been months when it was hours. Um, that's shamans, um, say that time is measured by intensity. So a shaman that has been doing a lot of intense shamanic work for, say, 80 years, that's the equivalent to, like, in comparison, it would be the equivalent of like thousands of people's intensity that they accumulated over the course of their lives. So, like, one day for a shaman is the equivalent to an entire person's life as far as how much intensity moves through their chakra line. I mean, it's not even comparison. Once the shamans open their chakra line and had that much intensity move through them, then they leave everyone in the dust. There's no comparison at all. That's how unique of a prospect is that I talk about here. You guys, if you shift out of the dense, heavy way of perceiving your existence, then the magical pours in, and then it just starts to get more and more and more, and you start to realize that the illusion really is an illusion, that it's not just a way of talking. Truly, you can go away from the sound of the world. When shamans leave and they go to the abyss and they have to come back, it's like loud and they don't want, it's like, whoa, the world is loud, right? So silence is so liberating that it swallows you. The darkness of silence swallows you. It's the dark sea of awareness. And that's where you meet sort of that which birthed us, which gave us life, which is not the way we think of it, but awareness was bestowed to us. And when we leave this world, all of our experience is returned to that which bestowed our awareness, which bestowed awareness upon us. And what shamans suggest we can do is, rather than return those experiences entirely, we return a copy. We take a complete inventory of everything that's happened to us and we turn that in. And that will be accepted if it's complete. That sounds very abstract, and it is. It's something that you start to understand years into the recapitulation. You start to understand what the hell they're talking about. And so this isn't something you can expedite. So I trust that we're all going to be given time to do this work. Not everyone's going to live through the changes, but if you do want to, one of the ways to guarantee, let the world know that you want in, is to recapitulate, to do the movements which push disease out of your luminous cocoon. And then, become lucid through letting go of the habits that limit you. And just start take incredible care of yourself. And it's not discipline kind of care, it's like love, self-care. Heal your nervous system, rest, cancel your plans, quit your job, do whatever it takes to heal your nervous system, and then go out and get a better job, because the magnetism. But that's up to you and the timing. Do what you got to do. We live in a world that's challenging. I'm not suggesting that, because you may not be able to do this work now, you may need to do it in 5 years. And so you may have to keep in the grind, but start to let go of stress and quit taking things so seriously. And that'll change your relationship with work and everything, uh, on a huge level. Um, It's a labyrinth for sure. You're you're facing the ego, and the ego is a monster. It's, the shamans say that self-importance is a 3,000 headed monster, and you have to cut off one head at a time. That's a real challenging prospect. But if you get a few hundred heads cut off, you start to feel like a warrior. You start to want to show up more and more and see how many heads you can cut before you leave. Doesn't mean you're gonna get them all, but if you do, my God, the things that you could do, the things that Taisha Abelar and Florinda Donna Grau and Carol Tiggs and these very rare people are able to do with their time here, it's so significant, you guys. And they're really just beautiful people. They're not dangerous. So I hope that you heal. If you become empty, then you'll have a ton of energy. If you're not carrying an inventory and you're not attached to your addictions and habits and cravings, and you're willing to fast and heal and stuff, and realize where you're at with food and digestion, and you start to heal your system. And I mean, you don't have to do that necessarily. What you do need to do, though, is figure out where you're at and how you're going to make this world fun. So some people, you just eat whatever the hell they want, just smoke tons of cannabis, use mushrooms, and they're doing incredible things. So everyone has a different constitution. Everyone has a different ways and means to get to New Orleans, right? We're um, we're here to. This is it, you guys. Our lives are. My life's halfway, right? Basically, I mean, I don't. I'm a third. I call it a third way because I'm gonna do like 120. But in comparison to most people, we'd say we're halfway through. Let's do it. Let's let this catalyst, this reset, this awakening experience be just that. Let's use those words for our own wellness. Reset your being. Let your nervous system discover where it's at so that you can really have the conversation with yourself and others, and get the help that you need. And then the awakening part is the jolts that you'll introduce to your life as you become more in love with music and people and celebration. Ecstasy, ecstatic states of perception heals. It heals you. That's what heals. If and when you're willing to move beyond the limitations of your being so that you go after really profound moments of joy in your life, that ecstasy that will come in is what heals your chakra line, which gives you the Kundalini awakening, which gives you, purpose. Well, I mean, it takes time to understand what's happening, but that's like healing sexual energy, basically, because then sexual energy, it gets caught, and then you feel repressed and confused and or you can't stop thinking about it, and it rules your life, and you're constantly like, however you move that energy. Kundalini awakenings don't have to have anything to do with sex at all. For me, it happened through recapitulation. So there's a lot of misunderstandings, the way people talk about things, but those are just limitations. People refer to things from a traditional point of perspective. We're moving away from a lot of the traditional stuff, and Toltecs have been doing that for a while. It's just people missed out on what they were talking about because it's so simple. Literally, the only thing we have to do to access what Toltecs have accessed is to stop talking to ourselves. If you can not speak a word to yourself for like 90 seconds, you will move your perception. And really, I mean, 5 seconds. If you can last 5 seconds without a single thought come in, you'll start to shift. And then 10 seconds, 15, 30, 60, 90. If you can get into the 90-second range, you've moved your perception truly, truly far, and you're in in a really great opportunity to come to terms with what we are. You can get into the 2.5 minutes, 3. I mean, this is so much pressure to not have that happen. And so people take psychedelics in order to do that. And so yeah, what happens there is the plant medicine is moving you to the place where you can't talk to yourself, and therefore the door's open. The trick though is to do this without the plants, because that's the evolutionary pathway. Shamans have discovered that our evolution is based on our capacity to move our perception in an appropriate, harmonious way collectively. And that's what I'm here to talk about and share and be a support in and a guide for. As more and more people come to terms with this, communities like will gather around this concept, and there's a community you can go join that works on this. You can work with me and the small group of people that I'm working with now. So we're gonna get together. We're gonna be able to do really cool things as far as what the Toltecs offer in small groups, which really helps, right? So um, that's coming like through my channel and stuff. I'll start sharing more and more opportunities. We'll be doing workshops and different things. So that'll be an option. But by all means, you don't need to do it through me. Carlos Castaneda wrote the books that would change your life if you just read them over and over and really apply the principles. Or for women, Taisha Abelar and Flinded Honor Grau books are just truly, they take reading more than once. It feels out of this world when you realize what they're talking, when you hear what they're saying. But then as you start to do this work and read them again, then you start to realize it's not as far-fetched what they're referring to. So that's all I got, you guys. I hope really, really amazing things for everybody every day. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions. All right, take care.